Today, I want to talk with you about one of the biggest mistakes that I see in communities that are launching on Circle. And that is that people are often thinking they'll just figure it out as they go. They don't take the time to get really strategic and think about what are the programs they really want to launch? How do they want to spend their time? And what ends up happening is they create these communities and then they end up hating the communities that they create, and they become these logistical burdens on them. And we can fix all of that if we just take a little bit of time at the outset to get really clear. What are we launching? How are we going to launch it? How are we going to set it up? And so in today's video, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know and everything you need to do to prepare for your Circle launch. If you have not met me before, hello, I am Carrie Melissa Jones. I help organizations of all shapes and sizes to build invested and exciting communities, both online and off. And so today I'm going to share with you some of the secrets of doing this on the Circle platform. And this is part of my series that I'm doing all about Circle, how to best utilize it, what features are important. I'm comparing it to other platforms and just giving you a really, really robust lay of the land in terms of what to expect when you are building your community on Circle. So let's get right into it, okay? Today, what we're going to talk about is how to launch your Circle community. And this is all coming from a very personal place for me. I launched my Circle community 5 years ago, right as Circle launched. It actually was still in beta at the time, and it was right in the middle of the pandemic. And I thought, okay, this is great. This platform is now available to me. I've been building community for over 15 years, but I hadn't built one of my own around the resources and courses that I had created. And so I just went out and launched the thing. And I made every mistake you could possibly make. I charged the wrong price. I launched with the wrong programs. I didn't think about how I really wanted people to interact. And it's very ironic, given that I'm a community consultant, that I just thought I could just figure it out as I went. But 5 years later, and after much research and working with tons and tons of clients on how to launch their Circle communities, we have created a really comprehensive checklist of everything to consider when you're launching your Circle community. And if you're like, I just want to get that checklist, I want to learn from this video today, but I want to get that checklist and I want to get started, fantastic. It is in the video description for this video. It is a completely free checklist that will walk you through everything for you to consider, okay? So that's going to walk you through what we're going to also walk through today at a really high level. We're going to talk about the timeline for your launch. So I'm going to talk about a couple of key phases for your launch, beginning with the kind of 3 months or more out. So a lot of people come to me and they say, Carrie, I'd like to launch my community in the next 2 weeks. Well, it's possible to do this, but I'm not going to do that with you because I want to set you up for the most success possible. And if you are launching with that little lead time, you can't really be thoughtful and diligent about this work. And this is really long-term work. It's not something that, you launch 2 weeks later, it's done. You're building long-term relationships. So I really suggest that we start with 3 months out, okay? And then we'll talk about what you should be focused on between 1 to 2 months before your launch, and then less than a month, and then your actual launch day and your launch week. I really think about it as at least a launch week for you to think about and gather people and really celebrate what you've just done, okay? So let's begin with the farthest out in the timeline. So 3+ months out. What are you going to be focusing on 3 months before your launch? You're going to be focusing mainly on the strategy and the structure of what you'd like to build. So to get to strategy, I always point people to talk to your members or talk to the people that you would like to be your members. Do that at least 3 months out so that you can build relationships with them, get to know them better, understand their needs really deeply, so that everything that you do is informed by what they have said in their own words that they need. Okay, so when you talk to them, you're going to ask them questions like, in what ways are you already interacting around whatever topic that you teach or whatever topic that you gather people around? What goals do they have around that topic? What might be stopping them from making progress today? And then asking them a very important question, which is, would you be open to being a founding member of this community? So you're getting their consent to opt into the next phase of your community evolution with you, so to speak. And so doing that then it opens the door for you to tap them on the shoulder and ask for more of their contribution as you go. That's a really, really important question. And if you are wondering how to create a founding member program, I have a video all about how to gather your first 10 members in your community, which you can find here on YouTube. Right? So you're going to have those conversations. You can do them all in a quick burst in a week. You can do them over multiple weeks. That's completely up to you. But then you're going to take everything that you've learned and you're going to really digest it and think about it and then define who is it that we're serving here really, really concretely. Who are we serving? And then why are we serving them? And what are we going to do together? This is part of a framework that we at the CMJ group call the community compass. And this is your compass that really guides everything that you do. It gives you a direction for everything. It helps you really develop your intuition and your leadership around why it is that you're gathering people in the first place. Okay. You're also, as part of this, going to be considering, okay, what are we here to do? And then how are we going to organize what we're here to do? So are we going to be running workshops? Are we going to have challenges? Are we going to just discuss asynchronously? We're going to think about that 3 months out so that we can start to get a concrete idea of what we need to prepare for post-launch, okay? You can also run your initial pricing thoughts by these first people that you talk to and share with them what you're considering charging, and just share with them that this is an initial guess even, and get their immediate thoughts and feedback. Watch their body language as you tell them what that price will be, and ask them follow-up questions about where that budget would come from and understand more deeply how you should price your community or your membership as you go forward. Okay, so this again is all about getting your strategy together. Now, you can do this completely alone, but I recommend, if you have the resources, that you bring on a couple of key team members to do this with you, if it's possible. So number one, a visual designer. You're going to need someone to help you design, if you don't already have one, a logo and any other kinds of like your favicons or favicons, however you say that word, on your website, things like that. But also for Circle, you need welcome banners, you need event pictures, you need, they're called space banners. You're going to need all of that design, and it's going to need to look really, really good. So you can do it yourself in Canva, but if you have a designer, definitely tap them on the shoulder right now and get their commitment to work with you on that. The other thing that you are likely going to want is a copywriter or a copy editor. If you yourself are not wanting to hone those skills, you can use your AI, you can use Claude, whatever AI tools you want to use, but it will come out sounding like you used whatever AI tools you used. And so you want to be really careful that everything that you do for your community sounds like it's really in your community's voice, in your voice as a leader. And that's really, really hard to do with AI as it stands right now. And likely as it continues to feed itself, and how it's going to continue to be really, really hard to do that without the help of a human being writing this with you. You're also likely going to want help with tech and automations. If you do not feel comfortable working in programs like if you've ever tried Zapier or any other kind of automation tool, and that is just way outside your wheelhouse, I highly recommend bringing on someone who can do that for and with you. Now, if you need recommendations for any of these, feel free to ask in the chat or ask in the comments. I have lots and lots of folks who I highly recommend for these roles. Okay, so just a quick story here about this kind of 3-month out journey. I have a client who I just spoke with about 2 weeks ago, actually, and he thought he could just skip all of this phase and just go out and throw out programs and just launch his community. And he did. And he spent a ton of time and resources mostly making things look really good. And they do. His community is gorgeous on Circle. But the issue is that he hadn't run this by people. He hadn't talked to them. And so now the community is quite crowded. And by crowded, I mean like it's overwhelming. There's just a ton of programs going on. There's a ton of details and people aren't sure what to do first. Okay. And so when I started working with him, we said, okay, based on what you've learned so far and the conversations that you've had now, how can we simplify? And working with him to improve his community was really just about deleting as much as we possibly could and focusing in on what strategically made the most sense. Now, he could have done this beforehand, before launching. He could have saved a lot of time, money, energy on his part. That's okay. You can do this after you've launched as well. Okay. So that's what you really, really want to be focusing on 3+ months out. I've had people do this a year out. I've had people do this multiple years out. It's really up to you and what your timeline is. But Strategy is essential here, okay? So that is step one. Now we're 1 to 2 months out. What do we do during that period of time? Well, this is really about building, actually getting in and starting to architect what's going to be inside your circle community. So you're going to reach out to those people who said that they would be willing to be your founding members, secure some really concrete commitments from them, say like, we're going to launch on this day. Will you be prepared to be in the community? And, can you attend our launch event, or can I ping you and ask you to respond to questions, things like that. You're going to start developing a content calendar. So what kind of activities and programs are you going to be running in the first 1 to 3 months? You're going to set up all those spaces inside of Circle, all the space groups, which I've done. I just did a full Circle tour. If the terminology I'm using right now doesn't make any sense to you, I will link to that video so that you can check that out here. You're going to design your banners. You're going to set up your paywalls, all of those technical details and settings inside of Circle. That's what you're going to really, really be focused on at this point. Now, one of my clients who I worked with actually last October/November did something really, really smart here. And that is that she, during this 1 to 2 month period, she brought together her visual designer. She had a copywriter. She already had branding and guidelines put together. And she brought in a project manager who could help her she was like community manager/project manager to help her. And then she also brought us in to really guide the entire process from a very high level. And so she was able to really focus in this 1 to 2 month period on keeping up with her members, checking in with them on whether they would be able to be active in the community once it launched. She was crafting the marketing messaging and being really present for the marketing on Instagram and TikTok and other places where she was already active. And so this way she was able to spend the 1 to 2 months before launch, not in these tiny little technical details, but actually on these bigger relational details that are going to be what set her up for success for many, many years to come. So this is what you really want to be focused on in that 1 to 2 months before launch period, is ideally the relational work, and you have someone supporting you through the technical and building portion of things, okay? Now, we do offer that as a service, Circle implementation as a service. So if that is interesting to you, definitely reach out to me. But now I have a question for you, for those of you who are watching this video a year from now or a day from now, however long it is. I'm curious how much time you want to give yourself until you launch. You're watching this video today. Well, when do you think you want to launch your community based on what you've learned from this video? And who do you want to be on your team as you do it? So let me know in the comments to this video, or if you're here live, let me know in the comments there. And I would love to hear from you what your initial thoughts are on this. We can vet that together. We can talk about it. Okay. Now, we've talked about everything from 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. What happens in the month leading up to launch, those 4 weeks, less than a month out from your launch? This is where you're really getting in the weeds. At this point, you should be focused on testing everything. Sign up for your own community. See what notifications are going out. See what onboarding is like. Go through that process. Prepare all of your launch content, get that all loaded in there. And that's going to include things like recording a welcome video for people to meet you right when they join the community. It's going to include things like how to introduce yourself and instructions in that area. And it's going to really be focusing on setting up some initial events and getting people together live. So that's going to happen during your launch week, during your and on your launch day, but you need to be setting it all up at least a month out to give yourself lots and lots of spaciousness around it. So it's really that simple. And then in the launch week, and especially on the launch day, if you have a specific day where you're opening the doors to the community, what you're going to be focusing on is, one, adding all those members who've said yes to the community. In Circle, there are several ways to do this. How you actually decide to do that is completely up to you. If you have questions about that and what to take, feel free to leave me a comment on this video as well. But you're going to add those members to the community or have them sign up, and then you're going to monitor engagement. And you're looking for at least a 30% activity rate, not just login rate, but activity rate in the community during that launch week. Now, if you're really, really diligent about this, you should see a much higher rate than that, but that's really your baseline here, okay? Then you're going to run some kind of welcome event, something to bring the excitement, bring everyone together live, allow them to get to know each other, understand who else is in the room. You're going to create posts in the community. You don't have to post something every day, but what you will want to do is be really diligent about what you're posting and getting people off the sidelines and into the conversation, and then following up with the engagement hack that I teach in my YouTube video, specifically on the one engagement hack that I teach community builders. I will link that here as well. And you're really going to spend that launch week just fielding a lot of email communication, probably a lot of communication in the direct messages inside of Circle if you have enabled that in your community, which I recommend you do. And what I really want to encourage you to do during this launch week is not spend too much time. Don't just sit there and click refresh over and over and over again. Give yourself a lot of time. In general, too, when you're managing your community, you really shouldn't have to spend more than a few hours per week managing your community. If you're spending much more than that, it's likely that you are over-indexing on your own time, your own expertise in the community, and not giving people the space to really explore their how they can help one another. Okay. And then what I want you to do during your launch week is to take yourself out, maybe with some friends, maybe by yourself. Take yourself out and celebrate. Celebrate all the hard work that you've done, all of the brave things that you've done, because talking to people about your idea, even 3 months out, is a scary thing to do. It takes a lot of courage. And so I really want you to honor all the work that went into it and just take that moment, however long that moment might be for you, whether it's 5 minutes or a whole evening, and really honor that work and harvest all of the work that you have done, okay, up to that point. Now, as you go through this work, there's a couple of common pitfalls that often happen to folks. People will rush through that strategy phase and think that they have everything they need to get going, and then they just muddle the whole thing. They skip testing, and then when the actual launch happens, your DM and email inbox fill up with people being like, why isn't this working? This looks weird, blah, blah, blah. And it's a very, very frustrating process. So test everything. They also will launch without actually having secured the commitment of some founding members. And again, those people are going to be crucial to your early engagement. And so you want to be having those conversations and securing their commitment at least 1 to 2 months out. Okay. So if you're like, okay, this launch checklist makes sense, but I want a little bit more detail, fantastic. You can check out the link in this video description to get the detailed step-by-step checklist that we walk our clients through when they are launching their Circle community. So make sure that you download that, and that will guide you even further in this process. And as I mentioned, we also offer Circle launch services, and we also offer inside of the CMJ community our Circle Setup Toolkit. So you can either work with us directly to launch your community, or you can join our Circle community, which is very, very helpful to see how a Circle community can look really when it is fully invested in. And you can check that out and then also get this really robust toolkit from us so that you can better understand all of the work, all of the detailed work that's going to need to go into this, and decide, do I really want to do this? Am I ready to make this investment? Okay. So check that out. Let me know what questions or comments that you have. And I'm always here to answer anything as it comes up as you're working through this process. Okay. So now it's your turn to watch this video and then get to work. In the meantime, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Carrie Melissa Jones. Follow me here on YouTube. I'm posting lots of videos in this year and in hopefully many years to come as I watch this video, many years hence. Tell me what you learned when you watch this video. Reach out to me on Instagram, take a little screenshot of this, say hello, and I can't wait to get to know you and your community better and to support you throughout whatever your journey might bring. All right, everybody, happy community building and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.